Apology there's everybody. We had a little bit of technical difficulties there. Welcome to our post-game live stream here on E2C Network Live. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you hanging out with us, spending a little bit of quality time here to celebrate what we love about being Auburn Tigers and SEC champions. That is it. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts about it anymore. Your Tigers are SEC champions by defeating South Carolina at home in Neville Arena. It's no longer Auburn Arena. It is Neville Arena. Let's not start that in this live stream. Let's just celebrate being SEC champions and your Tigers being the best team in the Southeastern Conference. My name is Kyle. If you don't know who I am, if it's your first time here, we appreciate you hanging out with us. If you can do a couple of things for us as you step into the live stream, if you'll make sure that you post where you're watching from, city, state, international, all that, smash the like button. We appreciate you guys spending some time with us here on the road edition, obviously in my car, in Auburn on location for this live stream, trying to give you guys a little bit of coverage. Was not at the game, but was on campus for this weekend, doing a lot of other things too. So there you go. We're here. We're ready to celebrate. I'm very close to Toomer's Corner, so stay tuned on social media. After this, we'll probably head over there to check out all the festivities and people celebrating over there. But I want to hear from you, your comments, your questions, your celebrations about this. Let's hear what you have to say. Let's see here. I'm going to see Jack's here. Let me see if I can put him up here on the screen. The number one pick's last home game was very sweet, but very bitter. We will miss him. And by the way, it's Auburn Arena in my heart. You got to let it go, Jack. You can be in your heart no matter what, but it is Neville Arena. I'm very grateful for them for giving us that money to continue to make this a better facility for everybody so we can get more Jabari Smiths. I bet you'd be happy to call it Neville Arena if we get the Jabari Smith of every single year. But yes, bittersweet to see him go in his final game here at Auburn Arena. And it's weird because, this is senior day, and this might as well have been Jabari Smith's senior day, right? He was basically, he was the MVP. I see Kevin pointing that out right now. He was the MVP, definitely was. Cool, Luke, checking in. Thanks for being here, buddy. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Devin says Flanagan making that opening three was so awesome. He didn't have a great game, but I feel like he played better than he has been. I would say his last couple of sequences were probably not great, Devin, but overall, he was better throughout the game in this one. But it's the constant story. Alan Flanagan has not gotten back to his full form yet. Will he do it throughout the rest of this season, the postseason? Well, he's got at least 2 games left, at least, to figure it out, and what a time it would be to figure that out. We're going to go through pretty much every player, every moment here as we can remember off the top of our heads. We really want to focus on your comments and your questions. Cool, Luke celebrating. War Eagle from Italy. Wow. Every once in a while we get some international watchers here. Appreciate you tuning in with us to hang out with us for a little bit. Number one in the SEC. Hope they do great in the SEC tournament and in the NCAA tournament. Yes, 100% agree. Obviously, after this point, you lose, you go home. You go home from the SEC tournament, but you would go to the NCAA tournament, obviously. Auburn is assured of that. And once you get to the NCAA tournament, it's one and done. So there can be no mistakes at this point. You must, and mistakes that you make during the game, you must respond and make adjustments on the fly. And so a lot of people that have been frustrated with us not making certain adjustments in the game, I've been advocating for the fact that this is Bruce letting our guys figure it out. Because what happens when you get in a situation where there's not a timeout, where there's not a opportunity time to sub someone in and out, you got to figure it out with who you got out there on the floor. Kevin, yes, I hope that Alan Flanagan also does well in the NCAA tournament. KT has been our lovable psycho, but the past few weeks he's been down. Past few games he's been pretty good. Great to see him in on the 2 high notes leading to postseason. Absolutely. Everybody has streaks. For a while they remember Jabari Smith. People were telling him he needs to be more aggressive. Not really saying that now, are we? Speaking of Jabari Smith, I think he is clearly the MVP of the team and of the game today. Jabari Smith, 21 points, 100% on free throws, 100% on three-pointers, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, just outstanding game from him. And, there was this time where we started asking the question, who's more valuable to the team, Walker Kessler or Jabari Smith? And while I think that's a somewhat unfair question to ask, but being the nature of what they provide to the team is so different, I think as Jabari Smith has come on, this game is a perfect example of it. His talent and his comfort level have finally met. He's no longer that wide-eyed freshman that walked in here into SEC play trying to figure it out. He knows he's the best player on the court, and he shows it. And he's not arrogant about it, but there's a certain time when you have to shut it down and take it over. And he did that this game, just knocking down three-pointers with people's hands in their face, grabbing onto his arms, getting rebounds. He was just outstanding all the way around. Let's see. Kind of wanted to see that 3-guard lineup again, but we got the job done, so I can't complain. Yeah, listen, I'll take whatever lineup gets us a W. If it's Walker Kessler, Jabari Smith, Preston Cook, Laura Behrman, and Chase Masdorp, I think is how you say that. I'll take that if that's what gets us the W, for me personally. Imagine Jabari balks on the draft and stays for another year. I'd cry tears of joy for months. Yes, Jack, I would say we would all cry tears of joy for that. I would, if I had an ear of Jabari Smith, meaning I had an influence on his life, I would never let him come back. Not because I don't want him here, not because we don't need him. The kid has you rarely see these type of talents not only meet the expectations, but begin to exceed the expectations in those one-year wonder type of situations. He's got to go now. Yeah, he'll get better if he stays another year, but you're going to be top 3, probably the number 1 overall draft pick. I would love it. I would cry tears of joy with you. We would just be sobbing in the corner together, but he's gone. He's gone. A lot of you popping in now. I see that. War Eagle. Everybody, we're SEC champions. Let me hear your celebrations as you come into the stream. We had a little bit of an awkward start with my phone deciding to get a little crazy there at the beginning, but hey, we made it work. Kind of like Auburn's offense on on basketball. We have little moments where we just don't understand what we're doing, but then we get it together. Rebounding was so much better. I'm sure home court advantage played a role, but still good to see. So speaking of Devin, since you brought that up, and I'm still looking for the meme counts from you. Total rebounds today, 40 for South Carolina, 39 for Auburn. So basically the same. We didn't win it. And even if we had been at flip-flop, we would have had more than them in that category. I would have said we needed to have bigger separation for us to really count that as a victory in our column. It was pretty even. In fact, when you look at a lot of the stats from this game, they're pretty even. There's 2 areas, if last time I checked, it was about a minute left, that Auburn makes the difference, and that's their bench points. Let's see if that held true here. Bench points, 19 for them. South Carolina, only 9. And then free throw percentage. It went down a little bit in the last couple of minutes. They were at 80%, 81%. It went down to 77, but they beat South Carolina 68 to 77% there. So those are 2 areas where you really see the difference being made when most of the stats kind of match up themselves. Extremely improbable, though. I think he has the talent to be an all-star year 1 in the league. I hope he goes to the Pistons. Him and Cunningham would be a monster. Jay, good to see you. John, good to see you guys. Thank you so much. By the way, Booster Club members, I've got a lot of clatter in the group, or excuse me, the app. Those of you that are part of the Booster Club about trying to set up a meetup point for A-Day. Make sure you guys are tuned in on that. We'll probably start discussing that as that gets a little bit closer there. Devin says 594 in 11 minutes. I was waiting to see if it would shoot up more. Not sure where everybody's at. I tell you where everybody's at, celebrating an SEC championship. That is what they're celebrating right now. I think this is one of those games where you just kind of sit back and take that in. I'm sure we'll get a lot post memes. And you know what South Carolina's thinking at this point? Thank goodness they're celebrating an SEC championship right now because they're a little distracted. We're not getting blown up as much. But yeah, so we'll see that, I'm sure, arise as time goes on. All right, favorite play of this game. What was your favorite play? Share it in the chat if you have a favorite play. Mine would be the Walker Kessler backwards dunk. And it's so simple, but there was a turnover. We turned it over back on them. And I think it was Lord Behrman tosses it down to, Walker Kessler, who just doesn't even like jump, just reaches up behind him and dunks the ball. It was absolutely outstanding. Blake checking in. War Eagle, super proud and happy with these guys. Best regular season I've ever seen. What's interesting about that, Blake, is the 2019 year, they kind of came on strong at the end. So you really wouldn't call that a complete season, since they had to kind of make a ferocious run at the end into the postseason. But yes, this one feels pretty dang good. And, I find very few flaws outside of, a rough stretch of road games where we took our losses, but I expected those and knew they'd be coming. I thought we maybe take one less than that. So that was a little frustrating, but I'd rather us take the losses now than in tournaments. Let's see. The backwards dunk was one of your favorites, Devin. Yes, that was one of the best plays that I saw tonight. A lot of good ones. A lot of great three-point shooting. They were 43% from the three-point. Forget the stats I just told you about bench points and free throw percentage making the difference. You shoot 43 from three-point, you're going to win the game, which goes to show you, and I know a lot of you maybe thought South Carolina was going to be a pushover. Frank Martin is an outstanding coach. Outstanding coach. I have long thought that this season they are a star player away from being in contention, maybe not necessarily with the Auburns, the Kentuckys, the Tennessees, the Arkansas, but right outside in that space where kind of LSU and Alabama somewhat tend to reside right now. So that is what I think South Carolina's potential could have been, and you kind of saw that tonight. They came into our house and hung around. I mean, there was a moment here we're 7 points up. That's it, with like 2 minutes left. That's an eternity in basketball. So the one thing that Auburn has got to do is to stop taking these big runs and then letting people kind of come back. We got to shorten the amount of time that we go on these scoring droughts or allow others to go on scoring droughts. The defense has got to pick itself up a little bit more than that time while the offense is trying to figure it back out. The name Auburn following the phrase SEC champions. Sweet. Do you mean Sweet 16? Bad joke. But hey, hopefully we will be there and beyond at that point. We've talked a little bit about Jabari. Who else stuck out to you in this game? Katie Johnson, I think, is another obvious answer. 18 points for him. 2 for 7 from three-point land, but overall, a pretty decent game for him. He brought the energy. He brought the drive. I thought, in my mind, I'd talk about someone else outside of the usual suspects that stick out to me. Dylan Cardwell. I'm very pleased with what I've seen over him this season because I really thought as time went on, he'd be more relegated to less and less minutes and we wouldn't see as much. But he's become an integral part of this rotation and brings the energy, but also brings the ability to kind of do some things that Walker Kessler does, playing great defense for the most part, and being able to have that little dunking ability there. I think Dylan's maturity as it keeps coming up, and I don't mean like him screaming and stuff like that, but as a player over this next season, this next season could be his biggest like leap forward. I'm really happy this game specifically, but what I've seen with him this season so far. Second best game was the LSU beating Alabama. Hey, can we just like say how awesome the SEC has been this season and how awesome today's games were? Because you had LSU, Alabama, you had Tennessee, Arkansas coming down to the wire. And I don't know who Kentucky's playing, probably nobody. Of course, everybody today showed up for Kentucky. We all know that, right? That's what Kentucky fans will have you think. But it's been a great SEC season thus far. Katie, Jabari, we talked about Cardwell. We talked a little bit about Allen. I think you're seeing maybe moments of him kind of peeking out and trying to figure himself out a little bit more, but we'll see. We'll see. Continue to watch what happens there. Kentucky's destroying Florida. Well, there you go, which is unfortunate because Florida beat us, but we beat Kentucky, so it's kind of like the triangular effect of things right there. So Kentucky destroying Florida. Wendell Green, I thought, had a pretty decent game, creating a lot of opportunities for his teammates through a lot of great lobs and passes. And that's really, I think, where Wendell Green maximizes his potential. Obviously, a scoring threat. You need him to continue to, I got a little bird out here hanging out with me. You need him to continue to be a scoring threat, but creating opportunities for others is what a point guard usually does best. And he's shown that again tonight. Surprising, Laura Behrman and Chris Moore saw time early. I found that interesting. Let's see. Chris Moore got 6 points. Laura Behrman got this is 6 minutes. Laura Behrman got 2 minutes. That's what I meant, not points. So not like significant time, but bringing them in so early, I wondered, is that more of a decision to get them slowly integrated back in for rotation in postseason play? Because we didn't see them rotate back in the rest of the game. I think the flow of the game kind of dictated that, but just something I found very interesting. Harrison says, we got a lot of comments there. SEC is the best conference this year, no questions asked. I think this is the first time in a long time there's no debate. Best 4 teams in college basketball all reside at the top of the SEC. Yahari, not a lot of turnovers today. Need consistency moving forward. Those cold spells still concern me. The cold spells, yes. Turnovers, still probably a few more than we should have had. 14. They had 16. So that's, not terrible. But yes, we still have some room to improve in that category. Good to see you, Linda. Thanks for chatting with me on social media today. We were kind of connecting with each other back and forth. I've got people now making their way in this direction. You'll see them probably walking behind, I believe, heading to Toomer's Corner. I think they got, toilet paper rolls ready to go. So I'll be heading over there in just a little bit. You love the steal by Chris Moore. Yep. Just getting to see them in their final game. And, now that I'm thinking about it, he probably brought them in during that time, obviously, because they want to be able to play in the last game of the season on home court. Putting the seniors in at the end was classy. Every coach tries to do that. And, what you need to do, obviously, yes, is a classy move by Coach Pearl and his staff, but their teammates getting in a position where you can put them in and not be a problem with doing that, meaning they're going to lose the game. Because this is a 2-3 point game. You're not putting Chase Masdorp. You're not putting Preston Cook and others in there to play at the end of the game. Because let's see, Cook, well, they didn't even register Chase Masdorp on here, at least on this stat line. But yes, getting to see them at the end was a great move by Coach. Yes, and you'll see that done a lot, especially in these type of games. We can use this 6 days of rest. So this is the interesting part, and I'm glad you brought that up, Cam. Auburn has been, and every college basketball team has been on this steady schedule since the beginning of January. 1 midweek game, 1 weekend game. No more than 4 days apart. Now you shift into that typical pattern. You get 6 days off, and then you're going to play Auburn, if they win out in the SEC tournament, 1, 2, 3. That second game is probably not the problem. That third game. Because even in the NCAA tournament, you're going to be 1 day off, 1 day off, 1, and so on and so forth. Well, and then there's a couple of days in between each round or what, the Sweet 16 and the round of 32 and all that kind of stuff. So yes, while we could use the rest, it's going to be interesting to see how the change in structure, the change in schedules is going to affect the team. Blake says, feel like a lot of players contributed today. That's when we play our best. Absolutely. Like I was talking about earlier, I may have gotten here a little later. The bench points was one of the things tonight I think made the difference today. It's daylight outside. definitely was one of the contributing factors to the win tonight. I know we don't talk about UNC, but I loved Roy Williams' tradition of starting his seniors on senior night, even if they just played for a couple minutes. Previous Auburn coaches have done that. I think, heaven forbid I mentioned his name, Barbee did that. I think it's one of those things. It depends on what you. If you're not going to do it at the beginning, you need to be dang sure you put yourself in a position to do it at the end of the game, or maybe to start off the second half or things like that, because that means a lot to the seniors, even if it's for 30 seconds, like they got to come and just say, I walked on the court on senior night. That means a whole lot to them. And a lot of these guys, Preston Cook, didn't see a lot of playing time during their career. So they really, really want that. Kevlar, we talked about that during our favorite plays. How about the backwards dunk by Kessler? He made it look so easy. Yes, and it's not. I don't even think he tried to make it like difficult. The funny thing is, they said he would probably put in more effort if he had tried to take a dribble, turn around, and then lay it in. So it's kind of one of those things. You trust your body mechanics, you trust your awareness of where you are spatially on the court, and just kind of go up there with your height. Use what you got. Use the tools that are there at your advantage. Only thing I did not like, Cam says, was the guards need to help rebound more, and refs let teams beat up on Jabari. He can easily average 10 plus free throws a game. It's not that they try to let them beat up on him. It becomes this certain thing where I think it's human nature. It's not intentionally done. When you see a player of that caliber and he's the best player on the court, there's a tendency to kind of assume, well, they got to really foul him to show that he was actually fouled. It's not that they're trying to do that. It's just kind of human nature. You kind of adjust, you fine tune the way you see things, the way you approach things, the way you interpret things based off of past information. So that's probably what it's frustrating for us, right? But Jabari made the most of it. How about that 3-pointer? He knocked down guy hitting him on the arm. Beautiful. Dusty, good to see you. SEC champs in a year. The conference has never been tougher. Great perspective there. So you are SEC champions when it has been this tough. Absolutely. Still don't think Kessler's 100%, but he looked better today. I've been trying to really watch him and see, because I know he's got the wrap on his shoulder, but he made some plays with that shoulder that really extended it and then didn't seem to be affected by it afterwards. So I wonder if it's one of those things that trainers are just doing this as a precaution in the final 2 games to kind of get him ready so it doesn't become a lingering issue throughout the tournament. We shall find out. So those are a lot of the stats and information from that. Talked about favorite plays and players that stuck out to us. My biggest advice for everybody here is don't lose sight of what an accomplishment an SEC championship is regular season wise. Obviously, there's a tournament to come. Don't lose sight of that. Does it seem like this team is made for bigger and better things? Absolutely. Does it seem like there's a very long run into the NCAA tournament coming? Yes, it does. But what this team accomplished by getting out in front of the SEC early on, creating themselves a buffer so when they did run into some struggles on the road, they didn't lose that lead in the SEC and put themselves in a position to be able to close out on home court as SEC champions. I think it was Cam or somebody who already said it, the best the league has been in quite some time. It's precautionary, talking about Kessler's rap thing. That's kind of what I interpreted it as, because I didn't really see much of a problem with him. Champs, Clint's here, guys. Good to see you, Clint. Isn't it nice? Yahari says, I'm sure you've stated this before, but what does E2C mean? It's a great question. Stands for ever to conquer in our phrase. We used to be, when I first started the podcast, it was just a single podcast and 2 guys with me. We called it the Ever to Conquer podcast. We never ran into problems with that name, but technically Ever to Conquer is trademarked by Auburn. So we got creative. So we are now the E2C network because we were a network of this podcast or this YouTube channel. There you go. That's the trouble with doing things like this on the road. All right, but get your last-minute comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals in. Want to hear what you have to say, whether it's just to celebrate your champions or whatever. But I want to give you a couple reminders. If you haven't done so, please do consider being part of our channel membership program here on our YouTube channel. All you have to do is hit the join button. It's easier to do it on a desktop or your just regular computer. You can find it on an iPhone or whatever, but it can be a little challenging to get it set up properly. But usually it's just a one-click join button. For $1 a month, you get icons next to your name here. You get access to emojis. It's easier for me to see your questions and comments on larger streams. Those are the benefits of the joining the channel membership program. There's also the Booster Club, where you can get so many of our other things there as well, and extra content and exclusive content. But check all those links out in the description. Biggest thing you can do, though, is be here for things like this. Smash the like button if you haven't. It does help the stream out. And guys, thank you so much for joining me on an impromptu, little on the road stream here. Really appreciate you guys stopping in to say hello. Yeah, Devin, there you go. You learned a little bit about our history. So ask those type of questions anytime you guys want to. Anyone know how big this gift was, the Neville's gift? I have not heard an official thing, but you can be dang sure it's a lot. Oh, Wes, great perspective. You're going to make everybody tear up. Rod is smiling down. I bet he is. He and Jim Fife, all very, very happy today. Well said. Have a great day, everybody. War Eagle, I'm going to Timmer's Corner to celebrate. Check out some of our social media. I'll share some pictures and stuff over there. Thank you for tuning in to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks. Till we talk to you again, War Eagle, my friends. SC